Hey everyone, welcome to Dataiku Product Days and our session today, in which we'll talk about how you can bring your teams together with collaborative analytics using Dataiku. So today we have our cast of characters and we'll walk you through a use case that we'll talk about in just a second. But in this session today, my name is Lauren Anderson. I'm a product marketing manager here at Dataiku, and I will be playing the role of your business leader.
Hello, I'm Darren Brown. I'm a sales engineer here at Dataiku, and I'll be playing the role of a data engineer.
Hi, I'm Jing Zhao. I'll be playing the role of an analyst. I'm a sales engineer at Dataiku as well.
Hi, I'm Chad Coven. I'm a product marketing specialist, and I'll be playing the role of a data scientist.
All right, and so we're all playing these different roles because if you think about a typical analytics lifecycle, you have all these different steps that happen. So typically you're starting with some kind of a business goal and you access your data, you prepare it, you'll build your solution, you get sign off on it, you deploy it, you get that over to your business person who consumes it, and then you're doing this process of monitoring and continuously improving it. And so these steps are pretty typical, no matter where you are. But there's typically going to be some friction points throughout this process. So from, accessing data, you may have like your analyst working with your IT leader, or when you're building a solution, maybe you have, for example, your data scientist working with your analyst. And a lot of times, these different people are all using different tools, they're using different processes. And so what that means is that you have all of these process bottlenecks, all these points of friction that are happening across this life cycle as you're collaborating. But to get those results, it's imperative that you have that collaboration. And so you have to ask, how can we make that better? Well, one way we can do that is with Dataiku. And so that's what we're going to show you today, all with a use case that most companies are very familiar with, which is accounts receivable. So in this particular situation, I'm a business leader. The finance group is not very happy with me right now because we are consistently late with all of our invoices, and I'm really trying to figure out what's going on. So in addition to my regular reporting, where I want to get maybe some historical analysis, I also would love to have, some sort of predictive analysis to figure out what's going on, which of my invoices are likely to be late, and maybe we can figure out why so that I can then, use that data to help me improve some of my own internal processes and get those payments on time. And so for this use case, we're going to start by seeing it in Dataiku. And so as part of this process, I'm the business person, and typically what happens is I'm going to reach out to my data and analytics team. I've submitted a request and it's gotten assigned to Jing, my favorite analyst buddy, who is kicking off this process by trying to get access to the data that she needs with our IT person and data engineer. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Jing.
So I got the request from Lauren, who's in our business team. She wants to understand better about the late payments. And specifically, she wants me to grab the latest account receivables data and then look at total late payments, total sum of invoice amounts by different country, and give her a better idea of where to start to drill into the problem. She also wants to build a predictive model, which I'll bring in someone else from my team to do that. But first of all, I have to find where the data is. So where I go in Dataiku is I'll go to our data catalog. I'll look for folders that I have access to. So there is information around account receivable. However, there's quite a few data sets here, and I'm not sure quite which one to use. So I will ping data engineer, my peer Darren, to help me figure out which data set I should use. Hi, Darren. It's Jing.
Hey, Jing, how are you?
Good. I need access to some business data from SAP, namely the account receivable data from the last few months, so I can help Lauren put together analysis. There's several data sets I see we have available. Can you help me create something that have all the columns that I need.
Yeah, I think I know what you need. Here, you want me to show it to you and walk you through it a little bit, see if this is what you're looking for?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. So, Jing, I've got this project, and I'll kind of walk you through it to see if this is the data you're looking for. So, ultimately, we've got some data with country code, the customer, the invoice number, and details about the payment and whether it was late or not. Is this what you're looking for?
Yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, because she wants to look at the invoice information, amount by country. So this will have everything I need.
Okay. So let me just real quick, I'll just walk you through. So we loaded up the data, and one of the things we noticed off the bat was there was a data quality issue with this disputed thing. So we saw that there was like some inconsistent entries here. So that's something we're going to take care of in our data processing. But yeah, we got our accounts receivable data. We've got our country GDPR data, which I think we like to add to it, and then our country code stuff. So we merged these together real quick. We ran a prepare recipe to, kind of first we cleaned up the dispute variable. So we standardized that to just be yes, no. We did some date parsing where we calculated like the days that it was going to be, like the days it took to settle, and put a flag on it for if it was late or not. And then we joined in the GDP data. So that's, if you have any questions, you can kind of come back and look through here and let us know if we've made any mistakes. But yeah, that's the data. Oh, also because we saw that data quality issue, I went ahead and put some data quality checks on this data. So we've got kind of some basic stuff just to make sure that we've got, more than 100 records or whatever, that values are above 0. But more importantly, we're making sure that we have valid values in our paperless bill column. So it should be either electric or paper, and then for disputed, it should be yes or no. So we've got some data quality checks on there. And then we pushed it to, and I think you already found this, but we pushed it to the catalog here in our accounts receivable. This is the one you're looking for. And you should be all set.
Oh, this is wonderful because I have so much visibility as to how the upstream data sets are being built, data quality rules that can help me understand what's in the data I'm receiving. And if there's any issues, I can easily trace back to where things are created and be able to work with you to identify how to fix. So thank you for taking time to do that.
Yeah, just let me know.
So now that I have the right data set from the data engineer, and as you can see, Dataiku has made this process pretty easy, right? Typically, this is exchange of multiple emails and waiting of days, and we were able to resolve a lot of these issues, including fixing inaccurate data, as well as applying data quality rules and help analysts find the right data set all in a matter of a few minutes. Now I can use this data to conduct a few analysis for my business stakeholder, Lauren. So what I can do is I can come to the data catalog, find the data set, and then use it by share it to my project, to my individual project. So as you can see here, I've added this to my individual project called Accounts Receivable Analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this project now. In this project, I have a lot of the information I need from my data engineer already, such as country information, account ID, invoice number, as well as late payment information and account and invoice amount. So next I wanted to do is to give Lauren a aggregated view of the number of transactions and number of late transactions per customer. So that way she can look at which customer she needs to focus on to do account receivable, to do payment resolution. So in Dataiku, You can do this with an easy visual recipe. So as an analyst, I do enjoy the fact that I don't have to write a ton of code in order to do a simple task like this. And I can use the visual recipes in a repeatable manner. So the one I choose to use here is a window recipe. Inside of this window recipe, I can set up the column to aggregate on is customer ID, and the order I wanted to order by is invoice date. And then I can set up my aggregation as the count of invoice numbers, which will give me the per customer number, total number of invoices. And then I also wanted to sum up the late column. So that way I get the total number of late payments as well. I can add additional things if Lauren's interested in things like the sum of invoice amounts by the customer, but in this case, she's not asking for those. I can always come back and quickly add these things interactively. Notice that this all is pushed down to execute in database, so it leverages the cloud database that we have and the power of compute. Now that I have this set up, I can look at the end result. So as you can see, I have now some additional columns, invoice number, count, and late sum. From here on, I can do a couple of things. I can share this because I know Lauren typically consumes information in Power BI. So I can export this table to Power BI as a new data set in the dedicated Power BI workspace. So that allows her to slice and dice the data further on her own. I can also build a dashboard inside of Dataiku, in which case I did, to show historical invoice analysis. In this case, I can display information such as the invoice count by country, average days late by country as well. And she can come in here and easily select the right country to look at the information. Next up, Laura's interested in understanding the predictive nature of late payments as well. So what's it driving a customer's payments to be late? In that case, I wanted to bring my data scientist on my team who can help me build some machine learning models to do this. Hey, Chad, can you do me a favor, actually?
Hey, Jing. I'm kind of busy. What's up?
Well, the business really wants this predictive model build. They wanted to predict late payments because apparently it's a big problem with our finance department. I don't know how to build a model, so can you help me with that?
I mean, there's a lot on the backlog, but I guess I could give it a shot really fast.
Yeah, I hear if you build with Visual ML in Dataiku, you can do it pretty fast.
Oh, visual ML? Yeah, because that always works, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know you love to code, but if you build it in Visual ML, then I can also pick it up and I'll be able to do it in the future. I always wanted to upskill as a citizen data scientist. So can you give it a shot?
Yeah, that's pretty helpful. I guess I could go ahead and try it. Let me do it real fast and I'll get back to you.
All right, thanks.
Let's quickly create a visual predictive model to predict late payments. So we can easily do that in Dataiku, exactly where Darren was working previously and where Jing was working as well. And we can first do that just by looking at the data. And as Jing said before, we could also take another approach here, which is totally code-based, which is what I, the data scientist, usually feel like working in. But because Dataiku's visual ML is so quick, efficient, robust, and easy, I think I'm fine with going ahead and using the visual ML today. If I wanted to do any notebook-based modeling, I could do it down here in this expert sort of panel, but for now, we'll stick with our quick prototypes. So the first place that we're really going to be brought once we start our modeling journey is the design tab. So in Dataiku, when you're in your design tab, you get to customize your modeling experience really any way you would like all without the use of code. So here on our screen right now, we can get an understanding of our target variable. So we know this is going to be the late column, which Darren had created earlier in his data engineering workflow. And we can see the distribution of that column. And then we can take things a step further. We can see how we would like to split our train and test data sets. We can also see how Dataiku will put in guardrails and enable me, the data scientist, or Jing, the analyst, or anyone else who was modeling in Dataiku. It'll give them guardrails on how they model, make sure that everything is well working and healthy. We can also change how we would like to include features. So we can also use Dataiku to not only select, certain features like the country description or maybe days to settle, but we can also choose how we would like to handle those features as well. So possibly binning a numerical variable or changing a nominal variable to an ordinal variable. For now, I'll go ahead and turn those off. We also have many other features such as feature generation, reducing the number of features, and most importantly, choosing what algorithms we would like to use. So Dataiku out of the box has a list of state-of-the-art algorithms that you can use within your modeling. For our case, we currently have random forest turned on, but we can also choose something like a light GBM and maybe a lasso. And when we choose these and we eventually train our model, we will be training 3 models at once in a modeling tournament, and we'll see which one performs the best for whatever metric we choose to optimize for. So in this case, we're optimizing for AUC. We're going to have our 3 models, and we can also change things like the hyperparameters, or we can decide to do any sort of model overrides. But for now, I like what we have. We're going to go ahead and train this. So after we train our model, we now have our 3 models that were created by Dataiku, and we can see their AUCs associated with them to the left as well as in the middle of the screen. So we can see that the lasso model ended up being the most predictive model based on the metric that we optimized for. So let's actually go ahead and hop into our lasso model. So now that we're inside of our model, we can explore some different details and really get to understand the results and the predictions of this model. Now, the great thing about Dataiku is we have not only explainability visualizations built out of the box for us, but also visualizations based on performance. And these are robust ways that we can really understand our model, and we have a white box approach to modeling. So first place we can start is feature importance, where we can get an understanding of which features are most important to predicting whether or not an invoice is going to be late. So in this case, we're seeing that the due date, the invoice date, and whether or not it's disputed are the 3 most important features in our model. If we scroll down a little bit more, we can get even more of an understanding in the different values of those features, right? And even on the right-hand side, we can see that Dataiku is helping us get an understanding of the outputs of our model. We can also take this a step further by looking at some other different explainability visualizations, as well as a classification table. But what we can really look at is the what if analysis. And here we can change different features within our model. And the great part about Dataiku is this is very useful for me, but this would also be very useful for a stakeholder. And what's great is I can take this and I can actually publish this to a dashboard for Lauren to look at later. So it doesn't stop there. We can take this even further. We can do time series analysis as well. So we can actually forecast how much invoice amount is going to be coming in at a monthly basis using time series. And then we can also do evaluation and ML ops on our model to make sure that it's always healthy by using a model evaluation store. So within our model evaluation store, we also have things like data drift and prediction drift and performance drift that we're tracking and monitoring so that every time a change is made to our data or to our model, we can see what that drift looks like to allow it to continue to be healthy. So not only that, but we can also do batch scoring. We can deploy it as an API. There's many things that we can do here. But as you saw before, that feature importance plot, as well as the what if analysis, I actually published to a dashboard for Lauren to look at and get an understanding of her invoice amounts and whether or not they'll be late. So, hey, Lauren.
Oh, hey, Chad, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. So we created that predictive model for you to see whether or not invoices will be late.
But
And
I just submitted that request like 3 days ago.
yeah, well, we used Dataiku and that made things go 10 times faster.
Wow. Like normally it takes you guys weeks, like no offense or anything, but like, yeah, I'm impressed.
No offense taken. Yeah, it usually takes a long time. Um, do you want to go ahead and check out the dashboard that we created for you?
Oh yeah,
And
I'd love to.
Jen can walk you through all the things that she made for the historical analysis as well.
Yeah, perfect. So how do I access this, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen and I can walk you through it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw that I had access to this workspace for finance. Okay. And it looks like, oh yeah, I see looks like the dashboard that you built, right?
Yeah, so this is the dashboard that you can access through your workspace. And from here, you can see all of the insights that we created for your project.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I know this is what I asked for, Jing, right? The historical analysis. This is great.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It
You can
looks like,
filter different countries too.
what was that?
You can filter to different countries too.
Oh, I can filter it. Yeah, that's great because I don't, I'm on the Americas team, so I really care about the US and Canada. Oh wow, yeah, it looks like if I'm looking at this right, it seems like there is a higher percentage of late invoices in Canada, and it looks like they're more days late. So yeah, that's going to be a problem. I got to get with that team. This might be one of the reasons why we're having this issue. So I'll be sure to follow up with that team. This is great though. I love this. Looks like there's some other stuff here.
Yeah,
Um,
if you want to go ahead and hop into that second slide, here's where all the information regarding the late invoice predictions are. And not only can you look through what invoices might be late based on our model, but you can also even to your bottom left, put in any questions that you might have regarding any of our findings.
oh,
And we can
great.
answer it right here in Dataiku.
Yeah, I love that. I will definitely be spending some time here because finance is definitely not happy with me. So I need to figure out what's going on here. And this looks like, is this future importance? I see due date, invoice date. So this means that this is most important to predicting if it's late or not?
Yeah, it means that it's the most predictive features. Well, those are the two most predictive features on predicting whether or not an invoice will be late.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that's a really interesting thing. I'm gonna have to do some more research there. Yeah. Oh, what is this down here? What if?
Yeah, so this is where you can actually tweak and play with different features and see how when you change a certain feature or a certain value, how does that reflect in the model? So you can really understand what features are influential towards predicting what outcome.
Oh, great. So I can kind of play around with, is it disputed? Is it not? Is it paper? Is it electronic? And just see whether or not that impacts if it's late or not, or whether or not it might be. Oh, that's really cool. So yeah, electronic, it looks like here, if I'm understanding this correctly, okay, so one means it's late. So it seems like electronic, if they're electronic, it looks like they're a lot less likely to be late, which is good to know because we just started that initiative and it looks like it's working. So maybe if we can get those other folks on those electronic billing system, then that will help us out even more. Great. Well, thank you both so much. Again, this was so fast. And yeah, I really appreciate this. And I'm definitely going to be looking at this and asking you some more questions, Chad.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. Glad
Thank
to
you.
help.
Okay, so as you just saw, we had all these different types of people, from our data engineers to our analysts to our data scientists to me, your business leader, and we were all working from the single central platform in Dataiku. And you can see how through our ability to, find that data, you could easily find that in the data catalog. We have these projects that we can search and we can easily reuse them. So that eases that friction point that typically exists between those data and IT teams. And then we have Chad and Jing, who are brought together in the same platform, even though Chad was a little bit, had a little bit of, some doubts about whether or not the visual ML model could work. Once he got in there and is actually playing around with it, he figured out like, hey, this is actually pretty robust. But he could do it in code if he wanted to. And that's one of the big value points of Dataiku is that you have the option of code and non-code. But the point is that by bringing those two groups of people together in the same place, you have this shared common language, which means that, again, you have this shared communication, the shared understanding that just makes that process even faster. And then finally, you can share your insights wherever they're needed. So as you saw, Jing was able to easily share to my Power BI dashboard, but then I can also, build that Dataiku through dashboards and other things and workspaces where I could easily come back and, see that every month and figure out, okay, have we made improvements, for example, on those changes that we made to the business, and really make sure that your business teams are using that data to actually impact their business decisions. And so, as you can see, with Dataiku, you can make collaborative analytics a lot faster. And so with that, thanks everyone, and thanks for attending this session. And now we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions.